Hello, Michael and members of the Budweiser team. It is April 26, 2013, and we are here today to go over the results of our quantitative research analysis based on the survey we conducted. Now, as you can recall, we did a survey on the 4 large domestic beer brands, including yourselves, Miller, Coors, and Busch. Again, I want to thank you for your help throughout this process, and because of your team, we were able to come up with a great survey that gave us the results that we can be confident in. So let's begin. Today we are going to go over the key findings that we were able to gather from the data, recall your team's objectives for which this survey was created for, and finally we are going to walk through the research results that will meet those objectives and provide your team with useful information to better your brand. The first key finding was customer satisfaction. From the survey, we were able to find customer satisfaction scores for Budweiser based on the attributes of taste, image, price, packaging, and Budweiser's overall value. Retrieving the customer satisfaction scores allowed us to find Budweiser's strengths and weaknesses. The second key finding was an acceptable price range. This finding shows what consumers consider a good deal for Budweiser's price and what consumers consider expensive but would still purchase. This was done from a research method called Van Westendorp and will provide you with information to find this acceptable price range. The third key finding was attribute importance. This method asked consumers various questions to see which attributes were most important to them when choosing a beer brand. The final finding was improvement. The data will allow you to see the improvement priority for the 5 attributes as they pertain to customer satisfaction and attribute importance. Now that you have a better understanding of what our key findings were from the data, it is important to recall your objectives so we can see how they were met from the data results. Your team's main objectives were to find out your customer satisfaction scores, which attributes were most important to consumers, what you can improve on, and find out if your current pricing is acceptable to consumers. So let's transition into the research result and meet those objectives. The general consensus of this analysis is that Budweiser is the best in terms of customer satisfaction, which is great. So congratulations on that. But as we all know, there's always room for improvement, and the results of this data show that your improvement could come from your current pricing. This table shows Budweiser's Net Promoter Score. The Net Promoter Score is a benchmark of performance across the industry and is found by asking a single recommendation question, calculated to find the percent of customers falling into the loyalty group. Budweiser scored a 61.1%. Now, don't let this number fool you as it is misleading, and let me show you why. This chart shows your Net Promoter Score in comparison to your competitors. As the graph shows, your Net Promoter Score is the highest compared to your competitors. I say we cheers to that. Here we have Budweiser's satisfaction scores for taste, overall value, image, packaging, and price. You can see taste scored the highest and price the lowest. Now, these scores can only mean so much on their own. It is important to look at the scores of your competitors. This chart shows your satisfaction scores compared to your competitors. It also shows your strengths and weaknesses. If you take notice to the axis on the bottom, you'll see there is a number 1 in the middle with 0.97 to the left and 1.03 to the right. Those points on either side of the number 1 represent attributes that fall in the zone of indifference, which are attributes that are not seen as major strengths nor major weaknesses compared to your competitors. Anything that is to the left of the 0.97 would be considered a weakness compared to your competitors, and anything that would fall to the right of the 1.03 would be considered a major strength. We see here that price and image are falling to the left of 0.97 and tell us that these are weaknesses in the grand scheme of things. What if your objectives was to find out which attribute was most important to customers? Here's a graph showing the most important down to the least important. and we found that customers considered image to be the most important attribute. In order to see where we can improve, we compared Budweiser to the leading brand for each attribute. Here were the results. The results told us that price should be the top priority for improvement. With that being said, another objective was price, and our survey allowed us to see customers' opinion to generate an appropriate price range. We used a set of 4 questions to determine the following averages. The questions included what consumers considered too cheap they'd start to doubt the quality, a good deal, expensive but they'd still purchase, and finally, too expensive they would not consider. Taking a look at this waterfall graph, you see the results, not just the average, for what customers consider a good deal. At $2, 100% of the survey respondents considered Budweiser to be a good deal. $3 represents the drop-off because just a $1 increase in price causes you to lose close to 20% of your customers. Looking at responses to the question, at what price would you consider Budweiser getting expensive but you'd still consider, we see that at $5 we have 100% of customers. After reviewing what customers considered to be a good deal and what they considered getting expensive but they'd still consider, we can determine that an acceptable price range would be between $2 and $5. Conjoint analysis is a method used to get preference scores based on choices. Survey participants were given multiple questions where they had to make a choice and choose one brand based on the questions. The data tells us that Budweiser was the #1 preference for brands. That is a great accomplishment. We asked survey participants to make a choice on prices. Multiple questions were given with the choice of $14, $15, $16, and $17. As you just saw, the $14 price point was the #1 preference by consumers. Well, now that we had a chance to go over the survey results, we can sum this up quickly for you and say that Budweiser is the best in terms of satisfaction, but as we discussed, there's always room for improvement, and we saw that the top priority should be to improve price. Luckily, we conducted research on price. So I recommend that you use the data and listen to your customers to ensure your continued success and potential for greatness. Well, Michael, thank you for your time. I hope this was helpful for you and your team, and please feel free to ask any questions that you may have. It's been a pleasure working with you, and I hope you all the best and look forward to working with you again in the future. Take care.